Hola YouTube. Thank you for being here with me for another video. For today, I'd like to share a dream that I remembered when I was watching another one of Ashley Ink's videos 2 weeks ago. She has a segment talks about headlines that are not being discussed in the mainstream media. And one of them was particularly interesting in the sense that it triggered a memory of a dream that I had completely forgotten about. It was an article by the Smithsonian Magazine, and it is titled Google Wants to Release 32 Million Mosquitoes in California and in Florida, and here's why. And it says the company is asking the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for permission to release millions of sterilized mosquitoes in order to fight their disease spreading counterparts. Through its parent company, Alphabet, Google wants federal approval to release up to 32 million mosquitoes in California and Florida. That might sound apocalyptic, but the request is part of the tech giant's debug program to eliminate disease carrying mosquitoes. It goes on to say mosquitoes are the world's deadliest animals. They spread malaria, dengue, fever, West Nile virus, and other fatal diseases to millions of people each year. The Debug Project wants to tackle this issue by releasing male mosquitoes which don't bite or carry disease. To stop these bad mosquitoes, the good bugs will be infected with a naturally occurring bacteria which will make them sterile. And over time, there will be fewer and fewer bad mosquitoes per the program's website. So that's directly from the article. When Ashley mentioned this 2 weeks ago, I literally had a flashback of the dream where I received a message warning about the bees that they're releasing into the environment. So there's kind of like a similarity. I had this dream years ago, so I don't remember a lot of detail. In the dream, it was kind of maybe apocalyptic looking in a sense. We lived in a world where the oxygen had been compromised completely. And I've mentioned in another video that my dreams are normally when I have a dream, the dream setting is always at night. But this is actually one of those rare instances where my dream was actually during the daytime. In the dream, like I mentioned, the oxygen had been compromised, which meant that everybody was wearing a mask. You couldn't be outside for too long. I was going to travel somewhere. In order to travel from one way to another, as I just mentioned, being outside for prolonged periods of time could be dangerous and fatal. So they developed this kind of train system where it took you from one place to the next and you were able to be safe because you were enclosed. I was in this train. It was watching the people outside walking. All the people looked very lethargic. And I remember sitting in the train and just accepting things for what they were. And remember feeling really scared, like kind of defeated as well of how did we get here? This is really our reality right now. I noticed the people in the train were also a little lethargic. We're not really connecting to others. We're very detached and distant. And maybe was probably like self-preservation or uh, the sense of lack of community during that time because it seemed like a time of crisis. I remember hearing people talk and having conversation. If it was someone discussing how they couldn't believe, we were living through a time like this where the air could become so deadly. I said, yeah, I can't believe we're here either. And as were discussing that, this random person out of nowhere chimed into the conversation. He literally said that we should be questioning the bees that are being released into our environment, asking what they're putting into these bees. I just remember looking at the guy and being so confused as to why he was mentioning that. But he had such conviction when he said it. And then I remember waking up and wondering, what are in these beads? What is he talking about? Is this really happening right now where they're releasing bees? And I know that there's a lot of bioengineering with nature and plants and like this headline I just mentioned, which beckons the question, yeah, what are they releasing in these altered species, insects, everything that they're creating? I don't know who this man was, but he seemed to be in the know of what was happening at a larger scale that probably or we aren't being notified or informed of. I just wanted to share that dream because it triggered it. Maybe it can start a discussion. I don't know what you all think about probably what this person in my dream was referring to. If anyone has any idea, put it down in the comments. Let us know. How do you guys feel about this headline about what Google's doing with the mosquitoes? Thank you. Until next time. Adios.